Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Iman and I'm going to help you figure out how to fill out each and every page of this registration form if you are registering your child for the Islamic Center of Mason Learning Academy. So whether you have this registration form on paper or online, this video will help you figure out how to fill out each and every page. So the first step on the very first page is to list your child or your children if you're enrolling multiple children, their first and last names in this first column. Next, you will put their date of birth, then their gender, and as outlined in the animation and the overview document, these last two columns will be left blank until you've contacted and confirmed with Sister Hafsa the program and the days and times they're available to come, and the fee per month. So don't fill out these columns unless you have gotten confirmation from Sister Hafsa on what the program name and the days and times are, and the fee per month per student. So likewise, you will leave this total amount box blank until you figured out the fee per month. The next step is to fill out the parent's information. So parent one name, their phone number, their email, their address, and emergency contact number. This should be different than the parent's phone number. Then you will fill out the second parent, similarly the phone and the email. And after you've done this, this is all the contact information for both the children and the parents. The next steps are the payment. So whether you choose to pay in cash or check, or you can pay in auto pay. So if you pay in cash or check, you'll simply check this circle or circle the cash or check option. And if you do choose to pay through cash or check, you can ignore this entire page. But if you choose to pay through auto pay, then you will go ahead, check auto pay or circle auto pay, and you'll move down here and you will fill out all of this information. So you will agree to allow the Islamic Center of Mason to take out the authorized amount out of your bank account each month. So that would automatically be done, which is why this section will also have to be filled out if you're doing auto pay. But if you are not doing auto pay, if you're doing cash or check, we do not need your bank information and you do not have to fill out this recurring payment authorization form. Okay, so you get to choose which route you should go. We highly encourage auto pay because it's a lot easier for us to collect your fees, and it makes sure that we get your fees on time. So the next set of information that we need, and it's crucial, is that you list any and all allergies or medical conditions that they have, and similarly any diet restrictions or physical limitations. So you'll basically just write them on these lines below. You'll go ahead and sign your name and date. You will leave this part blank. This is solely for the Islamic Center of Mason Learning Academy's office. Okay, so we went through this page. This recurring payment authorization form is only needed if you do choose to do auto pay. The next page that we are looking at is the emergency medical authorization form. This form needs to be filled out in its entirety. It might be a little tedious, but it is very crucial that we have all of this information. So student's name, if you have multiple children, you will go ahead and you can just put the first name of each of your children, and you will do their birth date, which was stated above, but you can reiterate it, their school, grade, year, and if you move on, we need the parent guardian's name, their daytime phone, and then we need their childcare provider and that relationship. And we would like to have their address as well. This is all for the safety of their children. Then as stated here, we need either part 1 or part 2 to be completed. Part 1 is right here. So if you choose to do part 1, you have to list your child's physician, your child's dentist, and the phone number of both of those people, their medical specialist, and the local hospital and the emergency room phone. So all of this needs to be filled out. You will then go down to sign, put your address, put the zip code, and that is it for part 1. So if you choose to do part 1, you will end here, and that will be it. If you choose to not do part 1 and you would like to do part 2 instead, that's refusal to grant consent, which obviously is not recommended. We recommend that every parent does part 1. But if you do choose to do part 2, you will go ahead, sign down here, put your address and zip code, and that will be the end for the emergency medical authorization form. The next form that we need is the multimedia permission. So this form is 100% up to the parent. So this form basically entails giving permission to ICM Learning Academy to take photos of children in the class or just take videos of them interacting with other students. We sometimes like to post this media onto the website to just share with other parents what ICM Learning Academy is about and show them how our classes run. But it is 100% up to the parent whether or not they give consent. So if you are choosing to allow us to include your child in this media, you would simply put ICM Learning Academy on this line, and you would come down here to put your child's name. If you have multiple children, put all of your children's name, put your name, and then sign. So if you do choose to give permission, make sure you fill all this out, and then also include your daytime phone and date, of course. Now, it is completely up to you. So if you do choose not to allow ICM Learning Academy to take any media of your children, you can simply put a big X through this page and we will completely disregard it. So once again, when you get to this page, you can either put ICM Learning Academy on this line, go ahead, put the information of your children, yourself, and your signature and date, or you can put a big X through the page and move on. So that is the end of your filling out the form. After this multimedia permission, you have completed the registration form. From here on out, that is simply information just for the parents. So the next document in this registration form is the test dates and when the tests will be. So these first two documents that outline the juz of the Quran are only for students that are in Nazira. So Nazira meaning that they are reading the Quran. They have already learned how to read and they are now reading the Quran. So this basically says that once the child or once the student has read Juz 30 in its entirety, they will be tested on these rules of Tajweed. And similarly, after the child has read Juz 29 in its entirety, they will be tested on these rules of Tajweed, and it goes on and on. So if your child is at the place where they are actually reading the Quran and they are joining ICM Learning Academy to read the Quran with the teacher, these are the rules that the parent and student should be aware of that they need to be fluent in so that after they complete these certain juz, they are good to be tested and moved on. So that goes on to this page as well, and it outlines some other tajweed rules that they will be tested on throughout. And as stated by this attention, this is how the students will be tested. So once the student is finished reading a juz, the teacher will alert an administrator, and the administrator will take the test of the child to make sure that they are fluent in these tajweed rules before they move forward. Now, if your child is not in Nazir or is not reading the Quran, they will be more focused on this page with these rules. So if your child is learning how to read, or they are on qaida, so alif bata or above, learning how to read, this is the page for them where they will have their tests on this outline. So the way to read this is you will read what lesson they're on. For example, this first part up here says lesson 1 through 7, there will be a test. That means once your child has completed lessons 1 through 7, they will be tested to make sure they know the content from lessons 1 through 7. And if they do, they will move on. If they don't, they will repeat those lessons until they are ready to move on. Similarly, it says lessons 12 through 22, there will be a test, and it goes on and on to make sure that each child is fluent in their lessons before they are to move on. And then at the end, there will be a test. Final test will be for all the lessons to make sure that the child knows how to accurately read the Quran. So once again, if your child is doing qaida or is learning how to read, they will be focused on this document, and parents should be aware of when their child will be tested. And if your child is in Nazira or is reading the Quran, these two documents are what the parents should focus on. Lastly is the calendar for 2021-22 split year. So it basically highlights the days that ICM Learning Academy will be off. It's a little hard to read on this document, but if you have the paper copy or you are emailed the actual registration form, it will be color coded and much easier to see when we are off. So it's important that parents are aware of this document to know when ICM Learning Academy goes on break, because it's not always the same as school. So that is basically how to fill out the registration form. If there are any more questions, please feel free to reach out. The contact information will be on the animation or the outline document. And I hope everything makes sense. If not, please reach out. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.